inside. The rabbit started saying, blah, 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 started jumping like a rabbit. The frog, blah, 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 I'm a frog, I'm a frog. And 1972, that was a long time ago. You can imagine how very young I was. And with every bit of strength I had, I looked at that. That's the picture, actually. I looked at that picture is everywhere in my house, in my office. In my office, 2 sets, not only one. One there, one in front of my desk, on my desk. And I looked and I said, Master, you told me to do this. And I had tears. I said, please help. All of a sudden, a light came from his forehead, and it went through the whole room. God is my witness. The 16 of the 17 children, they just ran to the mats, they lied down, and I didn't whistle. They were all like that, and one little boy went to the window, and he said, look, it's raining outside. He was 11 years old, he was a severely autistic child, and those were the first words he ever spoke. That program was followed. We did a 1-year program at the center on St. Lawrence. Every Saturday we did follow-up. And by the end of that year, 14 out of the 17 children were out of hospitals, and they were in regular schools. Okay? The program, of course, continued, and then my schedule continued, and we still have a wonderful children's camp. What can I tell you about Swami Vishnu? This morning when I heard Srinivasan speak, I was so moved. He taught us all to know who Master was. He taught us all to live selflessly. He taught us all to work very, very hard. He taught us all that you never stop. I don't know, I can speak for my group, my brothers and sisters, we never stop. He taught us all to just give the very best we can. The TTCs, the people gathered. Father John started telling you some of the stories. The people came from every walk of life. He was never too tired to give his all for everything. And I believe, I am sure, that he has called us all here. You don't need Father John or me or any Swami to tell you that the world is in a very severe crisis. Every single thing that we see happening on the earth now, everything was prophesied by Swamiji. He talked about the cow disease, the pig disease, the bird disease. He talked about all these things that are happening, all these genetic mutation conditions that people have. He talked all about it. And everything that he said, we are witnessing. But he also reminded us to do the best and to realize that we're living in the Kali Yuga age, and it's our destiny to go from the Kali Yuga age into the age of Satya. In my humble work in psychiatry, I have never seen so many people attempting suicide. As I travel the world, I have never seen so many children under 9 and 10 not wanting to live. I have never seen so many people drugging up and drugging down, and with needles up and needles down. So many people experimenting. This world now is at a crisis. And I believe that Swamiji has called all of us to arise and to awake, and to remember the words that Sivananda said. It is difficult to get a human birth, therefore try to realize in this birth. Every day, Swamiji would say, is one breath closer to the other world. Every step, he would say, is one step closer to the other world. When we go into the heaven world, we will not be asked, where did you go? What did you buy? We will come face to face, and we will hear the words, what have you done for humankind? What have you done for humankind? I want to plead with everybody. Please encourage the people. Swamiji did that. No drugs, no alcohol, not this running around with children they don't know who their parents are. And I'm not exaggerating. Mother 1, Mother 2, Father 3, Father 4. We are in a crisis. The psychiatric units are filled to capacity. The therapists are busier than busy. And we need to go back to simplicity. We need to go back to the 5 basic elements, 5 principles, the 5 steps that Swamiji taught us. That is really all that we need to live simply, eat simply, pray, meditate, exercise. We need to go back to that. And we now have a chance. We hear so much talk about 2012. We are really at this crisis. Swamiji used to say, the world people will either live together or they're going to blow themselves up. People are blowing themselves up. Every year I go to Africa for 1 month, almost one stage where our beloved Swamiji would be, Mahasamadhi. From there, he is doing so much. In fact, I think he's doing even more than he did when he was here on the earth. Ask yourself, you're all intelligent people. One man coming with 2 doties. He spoke English, but it was very hard to understand him. And I can tell you that. He spoke so quickly. I mean, his mind was so fast. Oh, I'll do this, do this. I mean, how could that one person who came without money, Iris Rosenstone, her husband bought him his first car, paid $800. He didn't have anything except the words from Master Sivananda. Go to the West. The West is calling you. And then, of course, he brought yoga all over the world. And I want to say to all of you, people ask me, have you tried fast yoga, slow yoga, cold yoga, freezing yoga, hot yoga? They come and they call. I say, absolutely not. If you have something that works, why change? But I remember he told us all these things that would happen. It's not a quick fix. You know, people say to me, I want to take a weekend course and learn to become a psychic, a medium. It's not a quick fix. You take a 2-day course, you don't all of a sudden teach laughing yoga, crying yoga, fast yoga, short yoga, $10,000 yoga, a $10,000, yes, you can spend $10,000 and learn how to ascend. $15,000 course, you become an avatar now. Swamiji talked about, Swamiji warned us. That's happening right here in this country. So, it's a do-it-yourself fix. We've got to do it. And you know what? How wonderful it is to wake up in the morning and to pray. To wake up in the morning and to chant. To do some asanas, to love one another. How blessed we are to know of this. And when people say, I don't have time, we have to make that time. We can learn to do our sadhana. We can learn to keep the word of God, the mantra, the word, whichever word you use, within our heart, no matter where you are. Father John is not here. You know his mind, his body is certainly challenged, but never once have I heard him complain. He prays all day long, and he listens to the beautiful music, and he talks about, of course he has such a devotion to Swamiji and Master, he talks about spirituality, about truth, and he tries to make every moment count. And that's what I want to encourage everybody to do. Just 2 stories. From that first teacher yoga class, children's camp, and I have a picture of it, and I sent it to the Swamis, and we have it in our center too. So the little boy who thought he was a frog, you know, at the end of every Saturday, there's a little talent show, and of course the children, he was so wonderful with the children, wonderful everybody, so wonderful with the children. But anyways, he touched them all on the head, and this little froggy boy, he looked, it was a Saturday night here, and he looked up at him, and he said, I'm not a frog anymore. He left. Wait. Then Swamiji touched him on the head, and his hand is over, and I have the photograph. And I could really put that on I'm computer illiterate, put it on whatever you call it, the website, Facebook or something. And you can actually see the light coming from Swamiji's hand and went right through that boy. And today that boy is a successful businessman, working in a family, coming from a locked up psychiatric unit. That's who Swami Vishnudevananda was. That's who he is, and that's who he will always be. And one other thing I want to tell you, these children did not come from vegetarian families. So, we had all these reward systems set up. You can go on pony ride, and Swamiji used to, you give them what? Ice cream, right? So, anyways, one little boy, I'll never forget this, he really got the picture. I explained that here we don't eat animals, etc., etc. And one little boy, he said, I think I understand, Marilyn. I said, what, sweetheart? He said, I guess if you eat the animals, then your tummy is where it's like a graveyard, and that's where the dead animals are. From the mouths of babes. Swamiji we talked about that for years. We have a responsibility to give up these dead animals, because if we eat the animals, our stomachs become the graveyard for the dead animals. And if we know the research on violence, watching violent movies, killing animals unnecessarily, that's helping to create the violence. Swamiji taught us all. Swamiji is teaching us all. And I want to say to all of you, I am honored and privileged to be back home, and I will try to come as often as I can. Father John is getting much stronger, as you can see, and he's going to be here for a while. And visit with him. He comes out, and if you want to talk to him, ask him more about Swamiji, ask him about, the spiritual life. He'll be very glad to share with you. And, I remember when Father John got so sick, Srinivasan wrote me a beautiful note. And he said he remembers, the light that Swamiji was, even when he wasn't able to walk physically. He was the light. The light so shone through him that we had the privilege of knowing what it's like to be in a self-realized soul. It is difficult to get a human birth. We chose to come here. This is our spiritual family. God, Gurudev, they brought us here. Let us take this out into the world and sing the praises of serving, loving, giving, purifying, meditating, and realizing. Om Tat Sat.
Done all what they have done, following Swami Vishnudevananda's guidance all the time. And in the spirit world, the light is one, and it comes through whoever is ready, and you are ready. And if you got the message from both of them, they want all of us to rise to that responsibility. It's a wonderful message. Thank you for sharing all these stories. Without you, we wouldn't have known these details. Don't forget, they weren't living in the ashram here. They were doing their careers in universities in Montreal and doing their work through the Institute and the Spiritual Science Fellowship. And that was their full-time job, so they were imitating the same pattern. Once you are touched like that, especially if you got married and he blessed you, you can see that the fire will never come down. That's the secret. It's in Swamiji as well. It's in everyone that works in the organization, whether you're staff, volunteer, doing audiovisual, doing media. It's great work that we witness here together. Where would you like it after that?